Welcome to Ask One. We got another episode for y'all. Hey, hopefully you've been liking the content. We told y'all we're going to be bringing local politicians on the show. I have one here that is a remarkable person doing amazing work. He is on the scene. We're going to talk about it though, because he's showing up, killing the fashion scene when he shows up. I was on his page a little bit. I see him turning up. We turn up not only, wherever he turned up, but in the middle of the State House, wherever we at, right? Yeah, wherever we so at. That's how we come in, and we want to tell y'all. Let's welcome Dontavius.
Yeah, man. Thank you, man.
So
how you doing?
It's a pleasure.
Pleasure to see you, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So. Here on As One, we just want to open up with just let you introduce yourself, let the people know what you have going on. We touch on some subject,
Again, my name is Dontavius Jarrells, State Representative. I just so happen to be a State Representative, as I like to say, of House District 1. And so if you live in places like downtown Columbus, Franklinton, Bronzeville, or King Lincoln, Milo Grogan, the South Side, German Village, Old Town East, Bexley, Berwick, Franklinton, the airport, and every area in between, I am, and I likely represent you. And I've been in this role now going on, 4 years. I'm in my fourth year now. And I'm also very proud to be leading in my caucus as assistant minority leader. And so,
talk to him, brother.
Yeah. So basically, I'm one of the, I guess, in a nutshell, the second member of my caucus that's helping to lead it. We have a minority leader, the assistant leader, then the minority whip, and then assistant whip. So we are elected positions, and our job, on top of the work that we do as legislators, is to lead our caucus and to really think strategically about our collective unity and what we are going to do to move Ohio forward. And so I'm one of the youngest to hold this role in the country, and it's a true honor and a privilege to be here. And so, a lot of the work that I do is around economic justice. The reality is, I like to say that the work that I do in the State House is about saving my mama. And really being thoughtful about the policies and laws that we are governed by to really change the material conditions of people. And what I mean by that is we have a reality where families have to work 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet. How does that show up? Well, it shows up by how, the inability for you to meet your child when they get off the bus in school. Or you can't help them with their homework.
Yeah.
You won't be able to take them to a dinner, because you're working late nights. And so how does that impact the family structure? It makes it harder for you to have that family time. And so if we can help get families one job, getting healthcare access, getting all the supports that they need, retirement, healthcare benefits, like that will change the family structure for the better.
That's amazing, man.
So economic justice is really my big thing, right?
So let's start there, right?
Talk to me.
That's so crazy even touching on that, because my mom always says to me and my family when she prays for us, when she blesses us, that we need to put our family back on that dining room table.
Yeah, come on.
And I think that's what you're talking about.
Absolutely.
And the fact that you're a District 1 rep, thank you for the work that you do. We want to again thank you, because we appreciate you. And guys, make sure we have access to his contact. If you need something, this is who you need to be reaching out to. These are the guys that are fighting for you, 12 rounds.
Yep.
So that's why it's important.
No knockouts.
No knockouts. Hey, that's how we're doing it.
Hey, come on.
So it's important to restore. So I really want to start with, what does that look like for Brownsville, and what is the really installing that table back into the community?
Ooh, that's a great question, brother. So it's a couple of things. One, I think historically Brownsville has just, when you look at the history of what Brownsville, Poindexter Village, all the area used to be, it used to be a area where poor people, and even though there's vitality and vibrance in art, black art, we were redlined into that neighborhood.
Yeah.
Right. And so redlining is when banks weren't allowing or giving money to black and brown people. Homes, unfortunately, we were basically told that we can't buy homes in certain communities. And it was in our restrictive covenants. So those are deeds. There's restrictive covenant laws built into the deeds, and basically forbidden individuals from who are black or brown or LGBTQA or whatever from getting access to those homes. And so we congregated in a place like Brownsville.
Yeah.
And what happened was there wasn't a lot of development. There wasn't a lot of infrastructure, right? And what does that mean? So that means that as you walk out your door, you're faced with a community that may have endured a lot of violence. You're faced with a community that doesn't have adequate sidewalks, or adequate transportation, or they split Brownsville with the freeway with 71.
Yes, they did.
So it was a disconnect to the city in places where vibrant opportunities were present. And so, what I think about putting the dinner table, right, and putting people back at the dinner table, it's making sure that we have transportation connectivity, making sure that we are actually talking about getting people transparency in their pay. I have a bill called the Pay Stub Protection Act.
Okay.
And that bill currently is in the Senate. It's a bipartisan bill. And Ohio is one of the...
Let's get behind that, man.
Come on.
Here, let's get behind it. He's talking to you.
I'm about to hit you with
no
this.
knockout, man.
No
He
knockout.
got a bill.
Right.
He's sitting with
bills.
me, y'all.
Multiple bills.
Hey, let's talk about it, man.
We got multiple bills. So the Pay Stub Protection Act, Ohio is one of the only states in the country that does not require employers to give employees pay stubs. Think about that.
Okay.
Think about that, right? Every time you go work an hour or wherever you work at 2 weeks, when you're looking at your bank statement, you're looking for the money that came in, and you be like, whoa, somebody shorted me. I think I got shorted. Well, if an employer's not giving you a pay stub, guess what? You can't really go back and see what type of money, what you were actually getting paid, or what was being taken out your check. And so what I'm gonna say is that we have some great employers in our state. We do. But there are bad actors everywhere.
Okay.
And what we're legislating in law the protections for families so that when they get gypped, if there's wage theft, they are able to have transparency in a document that will tell them what they're getting paid and what's being taken out of their check.
Okay.
Right? That's the Pay Stub Protection Act. Then I have a bill called the Hand Up. The other issue related to environmental justice, economic justice, is there are families who you do a good job, you get, let's say, an increase in your hourly salary or hourly wage, you went up $1. So over the course of the day, if you work 8 hours, $8 increase. Yeah. Well, because of benefits, right? We got Medicaid, Medicare, SNAP.
Yeah.
We got HEAP. We got all of these particular assistance programs that are income eligible or means tested. And so what happens is when people make $1 or $2 over the eligibility of those programs, they get immediately cut off. And that's what you call the benefit cliff. And so what happens to families, right? Families, those workers, they're saying, well, I can't take that promotion because if I take that promotion, even though it's $8 or $25 worth of an increase every week for me on my paycheck, I'm losing $800 in childcare benefits. And so what we're doing, a Hand Up, is addressing benefit cliffs in the state of Ohio to make it simpler for families to navigate where they can see themselves become more financially sustainable with their own independent money and not rely on the benefit or the assistance, but it's not at the cost of them losing all of that income and destabilizing their family.
So where does the adjustment lies? Does the adjustment lies where you guys are trying to say we should increase that margin to where if people make certain amount of money, they should still be able to receive these benefits
100%.
because they can now. Let's say they needed a lawyer. You know, you may, because you make a certain amount of money. I'm just comparing it to that so people can understand. So you may be able to get a public defender. Yep. So then because you make slightly over that amount, you're no longer to get a public defender. You have to go now spend all this money for a lawyer.
Out of pocket. Absolutely.
Out of pocket, okay.
And so what we're trying, it's a two-pronged approach, right? One, we're doing more work on the front end to create programs and supports so that individuals know what they qualify for with that increase. Okay. Right? Because part of the problem is because it's so punitive, think about it, right? I got an award. I'm doing a good job in my job right now. I get an increase, and then I get a letter in the mail saying, "Hey, your SNAP benefits are being cut." Right? It's such a punitive perspective, and so on the front end, we're creating programs to educate our workers, right, who are on assistance. If you get that dollar increase, here's all the things that you still qualify for. Here's the things you may not qualify for. Here's the things you may want to consult and talk with your employer about to see what can happen to help you get and keep that assistance.
So how can they obtain this information?
Man, every bill that I've ever introduced, if you go to our ohiohouse.gov, so it's www.ohiohouse.gov, you will be able to see every single member's legislative priorities. And so you can click on District 1, it'll be my profile. You'll see every newsletter. You'll see every bill that I've introduced. You see every bill I've co-sponsored. It really is a one-stop shop in terms of you getting an understanding of what bills and legislation is moving through the Ohio General Assembly.
Okay. This is an important year for you guys. You guys are going to be busy.
It's an election year.
That's what I'm saying.
It's election year.
It's that, and that's why we want to focus and really talk and get the programs in front of the people that Ohio is offering, and really people get to see who they will be electing for.
Absolutely.
And I think it's very important that we tell this story in a very precious way, because what you're saying here, and I want to go back to the bill. Yeah. What you're saying here is potentially you'll be able to compare your pay stub with what somebody's telling you. So it's no longer verbal. Absolutely. It's an eye to an eye.
100%.
Looking at it side by side and saying, I honestly worked for this. This is my labor, and these are my wages. Absolutely. And it matches up. Absolutely. And that's very important.
It is.
Because
it should be common for everybody.
Yeah,
right? But sometimes it ain't. Right? Like sometimes our laws need to catch up to common sense.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like we had a constituent come in and literally had to take an employer to court in order to get back pay. But before all of that had happened, she had to take them to court in order to get her pay stubs. No one should have to take anybody to court to get your pay stubs to know if wage theft actually happened to you. Right? That's a lot of money, and that's a lot of money, a lot of time, just a lot of waste in our system, when we simply could have had a bill like the Pay Stub Protection Act that would have supported that employee, got the pay stub, and then they could have taken that person to court if there was actual back pay that was due. And so what we're trying to do is just make the system better for everybody, And I want to back up too, because I think it's important that I kind of talk about like, what is the role of a state representative?
Let's do that.
Right. Because I think sometimes
talk to them.
In this work, right, it's a lot of positions, and we can get bogged down with the nuance and not know, like, wait, there's a city council member, judges, county commissioner, state representative, state senator, what? President, Senate, you got the federal senator, got a federal House of Representatives member, right? Like, how do I navigate this? And so I'm going to give you, if you ever seen I'm Just a Bill sent on Capitol Hill, right? How a bill becomes a law. If you type that in, I'm Just a Bill, you'll hear about how a bill moves through Congress, right? And it's very similar at the state level. Basically, I, as a legislator, I craft a bill, an idea, and then what happens is it moves through the committee process. We debate it. If it moves out of the House, it will go to the House floor, and we have a speaker. The speaker gets to decide what bills come to the floor, and then we vote on them as a body. If that bill passes with 50+1, right, because we have 99 members in the Ohio House, we have 33 members in the Ohio Senate. Okay. It will go over to the Senate, which it will do the same thing through their chamber. It will get referred to a committee. It will get debated in a committee, and then it will go into the Senate floor. If it passes, then it moves to the governor, and the governor signs it to law. So that's how a bill moves through the General Assembly. And if it started in the Senate, same process, and it'll come over to the House. And then if the House passes it, it'll then go to the governor's office. So it's a cycle, right? It's a cycle, depending upon where you start.
That's very important, right? I don't want to cut you off. No, but I want to talk about, the bill passes.
Yeah.
what happens next?
That's
Because
a great question.
I've never, like what happens next?
So there's a couple of things, right? So when a bill passes, the governor has 7 days to sign it into law. Mm-hmm. If he doesn't sign it, it automatically becomes law.
Okay.
But here's the thing, that this is what people need to recognize. When a bill is passed, it takes 90 days for a bill to become effective.
Okay.
So let's say I sign it in January 1st, 90 days from now, so that's all of January, all of February, all of March, and maybe a little bit of April, and then boom, you have that bill become effective in April.
Okay.
Now, if a bill has what you call an emergency clause,
okay,
that an emergency clause basically means that as soon as the governor signs that bill, it completely becomes effective that day.
All right.
So, but it's a larger threshold of votes to move a bill with an emergency clause. So that's the nuance about the legislative process, right? And so if we're moving money and we need to fund something really quick, like a lot of the COVID dollars that we distributed out, whether it was a rental assistance, utility assistance, what have you, that money came with an emergency clause because we had to get the money out quickly. And we couldn't wait 90 days because people were suffering. People were dealing with life traumas through COVID. And so a lot of those bills had emergency clauses attached to them so that we got the money out right away. And so that's kind of what happens after a bill is passed.
Okay. Well, now this is all information.
Listen, I'm an open
that's
book.
So important because we hear these things, and a lot of time, I'm not a big advocate of somebody tell you something, you're like, I really want to know. I want to know the meat and the bones.
Absolutely.
I want to understand. So it's really important. So now we know. Okay, so the bill passes. It takes 90 days to get in effect. Mm-hmm. It get in effect. What does onboarding looks like?
So as soon as the 90 days is over, it's on, right? Mm. So I'm gonna use this. There's a bill that no texting while driving.
Okay.
So, last
is that the new one where where they be like this and people calling me like, yo, one of my homeboys came down and I was like, look, bro, he came from New York. Don't be on your phone.
Don't even look at your maps. Get you. Don't even look at your maps. You better have the audio on.
That's crazy.
So I'm gonna give you a purpose. So that's crazy. So that bill passed out of the House and the Senate, went to the governor's desk. Governor signed it, but it did not have the emergency clause. And so basically last year, before 90 days, there was this whole campaign in that 90-day period to let people know, hey, in 90 days, the way you were using your phone while you were driving is going to look completely different. And then the 90 days came in, and then we literally said, it's law. It's law. You know what I mean?
It's law.
And the law enforcement was ready. Facts. Everybody was ready. So it's like one of those things crazy. Like that's you say, how does it become? It affects that day, 90 days. Boom. It's active.
Nah, that's crazy. So when you come into Ohio, right? Let's explain this law to you so you understand this, okay? This ain't no free willy dilly no more. We just like Cali. I think Cali got the same thing, right?
Yeah.
You can't just be how you used to be on your phone and y'all like this. It's over.
Law enforcement can stop you if you on your phone. If you have your phone in your hand.
Listen,
even if you have your phone in your hand and the phone is off.
It's off.
You can still get stopped. Come on, man.
Oh, they on it. Hey,
now listen. I'm just saying.
So that's a good segue, right? Yeah, let's talk about issue 1 and 2.
Okay, let's talk about.
I know that was a big win.
Yeah, of course.
How did you feel about both of them?
Yeah.
I would like to know your take. And is there anything else on you guys' ballot that looks similar to? And I'm gonna do this one for you, Beyond the Brick /Saver. What are the provisions that's being done for entrepreneurs within Ohio to be able to, distribute? Because I guess they're giving the minority a harder time, or So I know it was
So I'm gonna tackle both of them because I got some good stuff.
Okay, all
right. So the first thing is issue 1 and 2. I'm gonna take that. So issue 1 is the constitutional amendment to put abortion rights into the Ohio Constitution.
Yes.
So that's issue 1. Issue 2, for folks who are watching, was a referendum, which is a difference. It's different than what we did with issue 1. A referendum to put in statute legalization of recreational marijuana.
Okay.
Right? The difference between the two, right? Because I think it's important that you know this as a legislator, from a legislator to the people.
Okay.
When issue 1 when we passed issue 1 in November, same process, it became codified in our Constitution, meaning that no statute can be changed around it. There's literally, it is almost as if somebody back in the day was writing it on that parchment paper.
Right.
That's how it is. It is enshrined.
No adjustment. So what they say? It's grandfathering.
It's in.
It's grandfathering.
It's old words now.
Okay.
Like literally, it is enshrined in our Constitution.
All right.
And I'm gonna hold you.
I didn't know that.
You're like enshrined.
I didn't know that.
There's not much that we as legislators can do anymore to address abortion rights in Ohio, because it's enshrined in the Constitution.
Okay.
You have a constitutional right to have an abortion. Now, the beautiful thing about this is that, one, for me personally, women should not have politicians in the clinic with them when they're making decisions about their body.
Talk to
100%, right? And like, because if I had an issue with my whatever was going on with me, I wouldn't want a politician saying, "No, I don't think you should get that. The law says you can't get that." Like, no, get out of my room, you know. And so women should have their own autonomy to do what they want with their bodies. Fact. That is plain and simple.
That's law.
That's law.
That's law.
Law now.
That's law.
Issue 2, the marijuana legalization,
Okay.
is different. So issue 2 was a statute. So the legislature could have very well negated everything that issue 2 that was passed in issue 2. We could have done that in another bill. And in fact, the Senate and the House have competing ideas on what to do related to issue 2. Issue 2 allowed for a percentage of the proceeds, the revenue from the revenue from the marijuana legalization to go into minority-owned businesses, DEI, stuff like that.
Okay.
The Senate removed that language out and replaced it with funding prisons. Come on, we'll talk. So
did you hear this?
So
hold on. Oh, that just got heavy.
Like, I'm just saying. Like, so they took that information. They took that language out and replaced it with funding jails and prisons. Now I'm not rocking with the Senate, because one of the things that they did add, which I think it is a good thing, is they did add some expungement legislation into the bill, because currently we don't have an expungement law for those who get caught using marijuana. Right? And so
it's a win and a lose.
Right. Exactly. Now the House, however, our bill, because it's gone through Finance Committee, which I'm on, that bill is much more closely aligned with what the voters voted on with issue 2. One of the things that we're working through, I mean, obviously, we're also working on some expungement legislation. Shout out to Representative Ismail Muhammad, our House District 3 representative. He's leading the charge on that.
I'm familiar with Ishmael. So Ishmael, we're supposed to have you. Let's do it.
He's doing some good stuff related to the expungement piece, especially since he's an attorney. But most in part, all of issue 2 is maintained mostly in the House version of our bill. And so right now what we're seeing, so you asked about what's next. When it comes to issue 2, there is a compromise that needs to be done between the Senate and the House. Okay. We don't know what will ultimately happen, but currently issue 2 is the law of the land. Yeah. And so there's an administrative code that's being created currently, some rules related to issue 2, and that's ongoing currently. And the hope is that we will have some rules out for people as they begin to, expand, essentially. Yeah. So that's issue 1, issue 2. So I hopefully if folks have questions, they can always contact me. Yeah. Whatever.
And we have the information here if you guys want to learn more. Google. I was able to Google and Google their names directly. Google their names so that way and because they're the ones directly behind these bills
Absolutely.
and making these decisions. And like I said, we are in this room now as young adults to be responsible, to go out there and vote, to go out there and express how we feel and do what we need to do, and see the people that are coming on here. And you notice he ain't come on here suit and tie.
Oh,
listen, we doing it to you. We giving it to y'all because we're both young brothers, and I see this brother turning up to with the Senate people. I see him turning up with the Senate, and that I'm like, man, he doing his thing. He out there getting them rowdy. So hey, let's get behind him. Let's vote this upcoming election. Let's make our voice
March
heard.
19th is primary. And then you got your November election. It is so important that you go out and vote. Can I hit you on the development piece?
Yes.
Small business. So check this, man. So I need y'all to if you type in Monica Womack,
and we'll put it at the bottom here too.
Monica Womack. Shout out to Monica Womack. Okay. She's a first fan of mine, and a titan when it comes to minority businesses. She actually leads the minority business department over at the Department of Development.
Okay.
It's Monica Womack. She's given out, check this, 0%, 1% interest loans to minority-owned businesses.
Okay.
Like she is doing.
Really?
Yes.
Let's do it.
I mean, like literally. I mean, I can give you her information so you can bring her on too. I mean, they have done some amazing work distributing funds to emerging businesses led by, built by, for people of color. And it really is beautiful. In fact, I mean, I was talking to her not too long ago. They initially were always hovering around $700,000 or $800,000 in terms of giving. Now they're at like $2.something million that they've distributed out in terms of loans. These, again, low interest loans to black and brown folk.
Businesses.
Right?
Let's do it. Hey, he's not saying he hearing in the grapevine. He's saying he know our lady Monica
Womack.
Go talk to her. Let's really fund our community. Let's do the things we're doing, and because we're all here, right? You know, I've been seeing a lot of clay popping up on my timeline. We're all here shaping the community. He's doing what he has to do. You have to do what you have to do. I have to do what I have to do to be a good citizen, to thrive in this emerging society. You know, and he's responsible for a whole area 1, and if you're not familiar with the Area 1, they're doing a lot of great things. I know Smith and I, shout out to Smith Francois, that's my brother. Make sure, you know, he's the man behind the camera, but he's a big voice. Smith, you know, we was able to sit in on the Henderson project and see what they're doing with that. And when you get to learn the Henderson project, the importance of that house, and they were the first bread and breakfast, and how they flipped it so many different ways. And then when you go and you see what he talked about, he said they cut off part of that community to put a highway. And right on there is a very important landmark right there. There's a house. I forget what the house is, but it has a bench, and it tells you that's like important monuments that's in the community. So I'm very familiar. So I'm telling you, go get familiar with that area and see what he's doing. Then you will see the value of this man and the work that they're doing. And I just want to, again, tell you thank you for the work that you're doing, and continue. Let everything come to you. What for you shall see your face. And most importantly, we do a segment on this show called "What's Your Mud."
Well, what's that?
Okay. So we talk about our mud. You know when we came up with this because I remember when I was playing sports back at Walnut Ridge. I'm from Columbus, Ohio too. So I played at Walnut Ridge. You from Columbus?
I'm from Cleveland.
You from Cleveland? He from Cleveland. You from Cleveland?
I'm from Cleveland.
Okay.
You know
Hey, okay. My wife.
Neighborhood.
Okay, my wife from Cleveland for sure. So I'm from there. I went to school in Akron, so you know.
We grew up through concrete, baby.
Okay. Hey, that's what it is. Euclid, the Heights,
all that,
man.
That's different. That's Euclid Heights. I'm from Cleveland.
You from Cleveland? Okay.
Cleveland.
So okay.
People always ask. It's so funny. People like, I say I'm from Cleveland. Like, what part? I'm from Parma. No, that's Parma. I'm from Cleveland.
okay, I'm from Cleveland, so for sure.
Oh man!
But he's doing a lot of good work, man. And the mud is, you playing football and you keep your feet in the mud and you just keep going. But I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my mud. Okay, I'm Liberian, West African, came to Columbus, Ohio when I was 8, and I've been here ever since.
Yep.
And Columbus, Ohio has been my home, just as much as Liberia is. And I'm just grateful to be here. You know, like I told you, I went to school in Akron.
Yep.
I'm a business owner, Savor Bar and Grill. Yeah, make sure you check out Savor too. One of the best African spot to get you something to eat. Me and Smith have as one. And my bottom line is young black man.
Yep.
You know, we was doing something just now, and we were saying, hey, congratulations to the single black women doing their thing. But I also was like, hey, congratulations to the single black man, because, you know, 100%. Hey, you know, that's my bottom line. I feel like it's not a lot of voices out here, you know, for us.
Yeah,
and
I understand.
I remember being a 9-year-old man on Elaine Road, if you're familiar with Columbus, Ohio. And it was very tough, you know, but I seen a lot of people who could have been anything, you know, life, you know, been thrown away if they would have had a little bit of guidance, you know. I pray, you know, I thank God that, you know, I'm here, and, but, you know, just seeing that, I wanted to be different, man. I wanted to, I knew I was different, you know. I loved everybody the same, and to this day now, I tell my wife, I say, I can't, even though I'm just meeting you, man, I love you just as much as I love anybody.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter who I meet. My love for the world, I love the world.
Yeah.
Right? So I love everybody the same. And I was reading a book, and this became a part of my mud. It was talking about the guy who made Fubu. Forget his name.
Oh man, I know you're talking about.
Yeah, but he spoke about when he was a part of the Obama administration. We'll put his name. We'll put the book down here though. We'll check him out. You know who you are. You know, come on the show. Give us some dollars. You know what I'm saying? Pull up. You know,
by us.
Hey, you know,
for you by you. Or us by us.
You done made it.
Yeah.
I read your book.
Yeah.
You told me your story. I loved it. You know, you had bread and breakfast too going on. Yeah. But one thing that stuck with me after reading that, he talked about spending moments in that time.
Yeah.
So, you know, I really, you know, I try to make that part of my mud too, you know, try and spend this moment and enjoy, like I said, loving the world and spending that moment. So if I'm with you, man, I'm really with you. Man, that's why I'm able to, you know, ask these questions, because I really care. I really want to know, you know, I've been looking at your stuff, and now I've met you, and I just want to tell you, you know, that's the part of my mud. So we just want to know what your mud is, man. What's your mud? Tell us.
I think love's the most powerful word in the dictionary.
Yeah.
You know, and I have a quote. I start with the quote from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. When he said, "To serve, you only need a heart full of grace and a soul generated by love." Okay. And everything I do in my life, I love people enough to fight for them. Yeah. I love myself enough to heal. I love my community to know that we can be and do different. And that has always been my North Star. As a kid growing up, I don't know if I could have actualized those words, because I was still probably learning and getting experiences to put it all together. But I'll tell you, there was this one moment in my life since 7th grade. I took a number of buses to get to middle school, 3 buses actually to be exact, and public transit. So I had to get up early in the morning, 6 a.m., get on the bus, go out to downtown. Downtown took me all the way.
Talk about it.
Man, like for real. And it was such a unique experience, because I saw a lot of life on those buses. Right? It wasn't a school bus; it was a life bus.
It was a city. It was a city.
Yeah,
bus. Life bus. Ooh, it was.
Ooh, you know what I'm saying? And so one day I was coming home from school, and this bus was crowded. And I was that kid that had that Rolly book bag. That was me. I was filled with all the books. That was me. I was me. Right? It could have been you too. And the bus was crowded, and so I sat next to this woman, and this woman was homeless. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know she was homeless, but she had no shoelaces in her shoes. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
how old were you at this time?
I was 7th grade, so I had to think like, man, 7th grade, bro. Okay. Like, and I didn't know, and I didn't care, because I was like, this is a seat open, but everybody else was standing around me. So I thought maybe it was just like they just didn't want to sit down, but they didn't want to sit down because she was homeless. You know what I'm saying? So I sat down, and then got these private school students that came on the bus, white students, came on the bus. After about 5 minutes, bus start going or whatever, they started joking on this woman, calling her names, saying she smelled. Why are you sitting next to her? Don't you understand? Like, like she homeless. Da, da, da. I mean, it was just horrific. And what was so just crazy about all this whole experience for me, we had adults standing, hearing these students say these horrific things about this woman who was homeless. And they never said nothing. Nobody stood up.
Nobody stopped them.
Nobody said nothing, right? But guess who did? I did. I got up at 7th grade and I turned around to these high school students. I was like, man, you don't know her story. You don't know the situation she's been through. Like, I didn't know where it was coming from. I was scared out of my mind because I might have to fight these folks. You know? There's a whole group. And then they reply, well, is that your mama? Is that your mama? You know, I was like, nah, I mean, first off, nuck if you buck, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, we were about to go ham on that bus at that moment. The bus slammed, stopped. The driver's yelling, get off the bus, get off the bus. So he kicked off all those students off the bus. And then everybody in that bus started clapping for me.
Wow.
And I was like, I don't need no applause.
I really do this.
I need somebody else to speak up. I don't need the applause. I need somebody else who was an adult to say
talk
something.
To him. Talk about that mud, man. That's crazy.
Did. You know what I'm saying? So I got on the bus and this woman started crying. She was like, thank you. Like, and I didn't know at the time that this was going to be my future. I did not know. Right? But you talk about mud and creating something. Right? The natural ingredients that led me to who I am today, that probably was one of the more substantial moments of my life as a young person, because I learned in that moment to be unafraid to speak up for somebody else.
It's so much lesson.
Oh my goodness, man.
Just in there.
Empathy, compassion, love for persons who may be different and come from different perspectives than you. You know what I'm saying? Knowing that even if your voice shakes, still stand up and speak out. Right? Like all of that takes empathy and love to see somebody and say, you are enough. You deserve better and we can do better. And so for me, that mud, you know, when I talk about my mud, it was rooted in these experiences
for real
that shaped me to see that we can be better as people, but we need fighters who are going to love people enough to fight for them when they need it. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, man.
So if this was today's times, right? You know, everybody would have had their phone out, right?
100%.
Everybody would have pulled their phone out. It would have been on Instagram.
That would have been on Instagram.
You'd have been famous.
Maybe.
You'd have been famous. You'd have went viral.
There would have been no phones in 7th grade, boy. I mean, I was trying to get a pager.
I know, right? Nah, I can imagine, man. But that's crazy that at that early age, and my mom is a very smart woman, man. Shout out to my mom. She always said, men don't have age. Men come in all ages.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? And for you to find your voice in that moment was to prove that point.
I was scared of my mind. I don't know why.
But sometimes when you're scared, though,
that's what
you know what I'm saying? That's when you gotta lean into it, right?
You gotta lean in. And I'll tell you, people always say, man, how do you learn how to speak so good? You're like, you know, my other background is I'm a lead poisoning survivor. So so lead poisoning is Ohio has some of the worst.
Talk about the north side.
Worst.
Columbus.
Lead pipes in the country. We still, we have
lead paint in the houses too.
No, but lead paint and lead pipes.
Okay.
Both, right? And we have some of the worst outcomes, particularly in black and brown communities when it comes to lead, because families don't know how to spot it, what it looks like, and how to treat it, right? And for me, my mom, you know what I'm saying? Thank you, Mom. At the time, I was having a headache. I wasn't feeling well. This is when I was like 4 or 5. And she was like, I got to get you to the doctor. My neighborhood was one of the geographical locations where it was a lot of lead poisoning. So they tested me for lead. They were like, if you don't bring your child back to the hospital, he ain't going to make it. That was that much lead in my system. And so what does that mean, right? Lead poisoning impacts your cognitive functions, your ability to speak, your ability to, your academic prowess declines, right? You're more likely to get in the criminal justice system because you can't speak.
That's crazy.
You can't understand what's being talked to you. I mean, so I was a kid from the time I was in kindergarten. I had speech pathology classes. They would pull me out of class every single week to go over words to help me enunciate. And not knowing at the time, I was like, I didn't even know I had an issue, right? Because I couldn't speak well. because of the lead poisoning. But then
crazy.
over time,
I didn't know lead could just
man.
Something like lead could do that to you.
Lead could, I mean, it never leaves your body. Like once you have that stuff in your system, it takes years for it to begin to seep out. You know, and so when you're poisoned, you're poisoned. And so for me, I had to work through a lot of things in my life, you know what I'm saying? And so when I think about these moments, you said clay, right, that built me to who I am today, right? Had I not had the speech pathology classes, I would not have learned how to speak the way I do now, or understand how to speak up, speak out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So people understand me.
So you probably have a different value for just sound and voice as opposed to somebody like me, because I know me, I value eye, right? Because I have a cataract issue.
Yeah.
I was 5-year-old and I had cataract and it never corrected. So when I go like this, you kind of blurry.
Yep.
So I wish I had like 20/20 vision. You know how many times I've been in the dentist and they be like, your vision is 20, whatever.
Right.
And then my wife go there and it's like 20/20 and I'm like, I wish I had 20/20 vision. So I value vision more than the average person. So I can imagine you would value sound and speaking. So that's why you are in this environment. That makes so much sense. That is your mud. That is your clay. That's crazy.
Yeah, man. I mean, I went through years of speech pathology classes. That's why when bills related to speech pathology for kids come on the floor, I always stand up and speak on it.
And it's crazy how that's what life is, right? So I feel like life is like your experience, and then you have a chance to do something, and whether it's in a career or pass a bill, you're going to pass those things based on your experience.
100%.
If you walk to school and dog was chasing you every single day you walk, you're going to come up, if you are in the House Representative, you're going to have something to do with people guiding their dog. Like,
that's true.
It makes sense. So
I mean, most of the laws that we pass are based upon the human experience.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some things that are very like philosophical, right? That some people don't care about. Some people care about archery. Some people care about some of the sports. Like we have niche bills, and then you have bills that are very philosophical.
Okay.
Right, and that's kind of like the extremes. So the niches are like the couple hundred people may benefit. To the philosophical is like, this is a bill that, okay, we passed, but it's not going to change the day-to-day experience of people. And then you have everything in the middle that's based upon experiences of people, that where if we put this bill forward, it's going to change the environment for folks. And I'll give you another example. I have a bill called the Home Buyer Protection Act.
Okay.
Right? And so I'm
thinking about buying another house too.
Oh, well, let me tell you.
Yeah, and that's we could talk about redlining because they just redid the line, right?
Yeah, so redlining is illegal.
Okay.
Right? We did redistricting, which is redid the lines for our districts. So that's redistricting.
Okay.
And so I'm gonna go back to home buyer real quick. So in the currently, you say you bought a house, right?
Yeah, I bought my house. I'm looking to buy another house.
Right. But when you bought your house, you had to put a bid in, right?
Yes.
Right. You put a bid in.
Yes, I did. Yep.
Right. That person knew your name. They could have probably looked you up.
Okay.
They probably could have saw that you were, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, like, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I see where you're going with it. Yeah.
So what happens is
they could have said yeah or nay.
They could have said yeah or nay.
Yeah.
Right? And so essentially, one of the subtle realities of discrimination is happening is that because we have a hot market in Columbus, when people are putting bids in, you can look up who these people are before you accept or decline their bids. And that is a form of discrimination in another name, right? And so one of the things that we're doing with the Home Buyer Protection Act is that we are de-identifying. So we're removing name, age, religion. It is a anonymous process to buy. Like if this bill passes in law, it will be an anonymous process to buy a home.
So then potentially they're just going through the realtor.
But they can go. So the realtor, the buyer still knows your name, even if you go to the realtor. So even if you go to the realtor, it's like, all right, such and such. I'm gonna use John Doe. John Doe wants to buy this home. Here's a bid. The bid was $150,000, right? But what happens is that person who is selling the home could say, well, let me know who John Doe is. Let me look up John Doe. It's very easy. It's Facebook, social media.
And that's happening, you think, still?
Yeah.
For real?
Yes.
That's happening.
There are people, right?
You don't want the money. I'm offering you. I'm probably the highest bidder, but you like,
No,
I don't want to sell it to this person.
So check it. You could be the highest bidder, and they can say, you know what? Let's say your highest bid was $150,000, and let's say somebody who was white, their bid was $148,000. To not get you in that community, they will take the $148,000 bid. And so the Home Buyer Protection
That's crazy.
Act, so the Home Buyer Protection Act is a way for us to remove discrimination from the process altogether. There are amazing good sellers out here, and I'm not saying that everybody's a bad actor. But if there are bad actors, which there likely could be, we want to remove discrimination so that if you want to buy a home in Bexley or Clintonville or Upper Arlington or any place that historically may not have had our perspective, right? You can do so without the fear of somebody telling you no.
Man, I have so much questions I want to ask you, man, but I don't know if we have all day. Because I want to go, I really do. I have so much questions because I want to talk more about Brownsville.
Yeah, man.
And then I want to talk about the bills. Then I want to talk about just the common man. What does that look like to you as far as like an Ohio man? And I know we got some school stuff we got going on. But let's bring it back to some just looking at the schools, right?
Yeah.
And I went to school here in Ohio, and I know you did.
Yep.
What are some of the reforms, or what are some of the things that we're looking for as far as the student experience when talking about that? Maybe middle school to high school. Maybe not so much elementary, because I think a lot of the bullying are happening in those schools. I think a lot of the suicides. I think that's a very important, because I went to school, and I remember the year I went to school, and I really want to know what we're doing about. There was like they was shooting like every single year. They was killing somebody that worked at the corner store. You know and what are some things we have to look for as far as like schools, Columbus Public or whatever the public.
What I'll tell you is, I hate to pivot a little bit, but I'm gonna have to just a little bit, because you have a lot of dope, amazing leaders in school board who may have more of a nuanced perspective of the day-to-day experience of students, because that's their job, right, as school board. So just to give you an example, so me as state representative, I'm sitting probably 10,000 feet in the air. Right?
And I'm sorry, but the rereason I asked, right, the reason I asked is because the New York mayor, I know, are you familiar with that? So, because he's saying that kids are not paying attention in school because of social media, or these other different reforms that he's suing these social media companies. So I just wanted to know,
are we doing something similar?
Are we doing either something similar, or what are we installing so we don't have to go down that route and things like that?
Well, one of the things I'll tell you is, the biggest issue of all is that we've had an unconstitutional formula in terms of school funding. Since the 70s. And just recently, we started really having intentionality in terms of finding and building out a school formula that actually moves us to something that's more constitutional. And so as a state house, right, the biggest issue that I'm dealing with is making sure that our public schools get appropriately funded so that they can pay for the social workers that should be in the school. So they can pay for the psychiatrists, or pay for the nurses, or pay for those mental health therapists and supports, right? Bring in an instructor for robotics so that we can have STEM and STEAM programs, right? So for me, the responsibility as a legislator is to say, what can we do to make sure that students aren't falling through the crack or the gaps because of lack of funding? So that's the first part. That's the first part. So funding. We work every year, every General Assembly, we have what we call the operating budget. And we just distribute billions of dollars across the state to agencies and county, city, municipal communities, but also our school districts. The second thing that we do as legislators is we do pass laws that impact schools. And so, case in point, I have a bill that we are working through now that would ensure that every single school has a Narcan kit built in. So talk about overdose, right? So when a child is, for whatever reason, something happens, right? Maybe they were smoking some weed and they had fentanyl in it, right? They try to do a quick one. They didn't recognize that they got a spiked marijuana. Now they're having an active overdose. What is the school going to do, right? The school can't let this child just die, right? Like, how are we going to provide support to that student in that time of need? And so, we're working on a bill to ensure that every single school district, every single school has Narcan kits so that we can address the overdoses immediately.
So they'll be able to do it right there.
And then provide support as a handoff to emergency personnel, because obviously that child needs to then go to the hospital. But, I don't want the child to die of an overdose before they get to the hospital, right? And so that's one thing that we're working through from a legislative lens.
I like that.
But we also got other things. One of the things that I passed, helped co-sponsor. We had, talk about sports, right? We have a lot of student athletes who have sudden cardiac arrest, right? And before those, basically the machine that provides a shock to your heart. A lot of school districts, they didn't have that in their possession. And so if a child had a sudden cardiac arrest, they had to wait for the ambulance to come with that machine in order to hopefully rescue that child. Well, now each and every school is going to have that, right? So that they can immediately support that student when they're in crisis. And so when we talk about like what are we doing as legislators, oftentimes is looking at issues that we're seeing in our schools. And we're saying, what laws can we pass to make those mitigate the risk of, one, our students suffering, but then two, mitigate the risk of programs being not funded simply because of cost or simply because of lack of investment. But I'll tell you, that's one part of the work. The other part is championing, right? And so I've worked with our superintendent, Dr. Chapman, Angela Chapman. A shout out to her, another first fam, and also our school board members to talk about asset mapping, right? Like, what can we do? Each school has corporations and for-profit, nonprofit, and government entities around those school buildings. Right? How do you connect to the engineering firm that's right up the street? How do you connect to maybe the Giant Eagle or the Kroger or the Walmart, right? To get programs into the school, right? You may need new computers. You may not need to invest, or ask the school for the school district for more money. You could get corporate, private, public partnership money, right, to support some of the work that's happening in those schools. And so these asset maps of looking at what's around the school.
That's so true, because that's, we're all in the same community, and like you said, there's a Giant Eagle up the street. Why is it not a program that's supporting the school, the community school?
Right, it could be a whole career pipeline. And it could be crazy. Like, so I'm just saying, like, so while my role is not a school board member, right, I'm having conversations with those public officials to say, what can we do collectively to help change conditions of the school, but also provide support to those students who are there, right? So they feel seen, heard, affirmed, connected with the broader community.
Okay, I like that. I really like the fact of using, the resources around you. Because
man, brother,
if you have a pharmacy up the street, why is the pharmacy not invested in this science program?
Come on. Or even doing a shadowing program, or even or building out maybe a career pipeline where over the summer they can be interns, right? There's so many things that we can do in using existing resources around the school to build that school up to whatever we want to build it up to.
That's amazing.
That's just my perspective. That's my vision.
All right. Hey,
that's my vision.
I think that's good, man. And it almost sounds like crowdfunding, or
it could be. It's a form of it. Basically, it is an intentional investment for the for-profit organization to say that we, being here for 10, 20, 30 years, we see this school and we want to help invest. Because these students are our future workers. These students are our future customers. These students are our future leaders. And so to not invest in this school when we are right near them, it literally is us not doing our job.
No, for real.
As a corporate partner of the community.
Like, why? Right? Like, so. Yeah. That makes sense. And just to bring it back in the full circle, he said it earlier. I think he said a bill. Sometimes it's like we just have to think of the simplest terms.
Absolutely.
It just has to make sense. So,
does it make sense?
You know, just
common sense. It ain't common for everybody.
It ain't common for everybody. So if you're taking up space in this community and the parents is shopping there, this is, just give back.
And give back. And they have the funds to do it, bro. You get a tax write-off, right?
Even corner stores. I would take it as far as corner stores.
For real. I mean, even corner stores should play a role. Absolutely.
Nah, for real, because
I agree.
People, they be like, the Arabs, they in the communities and they don't care about the community. This is a way to show that I actually care.
Come on.
Yeah, man. So we'll wrap it up. Is there anything else you want the people to know?
Listen, I'm available.
Where to find you?
So I am Dontavius on all of my social media: LinkedIn, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram. Trying to think about what else. Yeah, Threads. I am Dontavius. I would give my cell phone number out, but I don't know how far this thing gonna go. But
don't give it out. Listen, nah, we ain't gonna give it out. Speaking of that, how many views we gonna get on this, Dontavius, man? What we doing, man? How many views we gonna? I've been seeing YouTubers asking that. What we doing, man?
I think we can hit it as smooth, for a starting point, 3,500.
Let's do it, 3,500. Okay, this is the bill right now.
3,500. That's what
We're introducing this bill. I'm introducing this bill. Okay. My bill, with the state representative is we're going to take this video as far as we can.
Absolutely.
35K. Let's do it. Let's go. Okay? So, you know where to find him. He told y'all, like, subscribe, comment.
Follow us. Yeah, there's so much work that's happening in the legislature. But above all, I'm going to tell you again, we have a primary March 19th. There's so many things at stake. You have the Franklin County prosecutor's race. You have our races, State House, State Senate. You have judges, Supreme Court. I mean, like there's.
And these are the people that's making the choices.
I mean, like presidential election, like there's so many things.
March 19th.
March 19th.
Let's focus on March 19th. We had a local.
We'll get to November. Yeah. Let's get the March 19th.
March 19th.
First,
March 19th.
Please. And if you need to vote early, we have the early vote center right off Morse Road. Right, like we just want people to engage, right? Engage in the electoral process.
Yes.
And so I support work for you. Literally, your tax dollars funds my job. And so the reality is I work for you, and every single member of the Ohio House and every single member of the Ohio Senate works for you.
Yes.
Hold us accountable. Work with us as we push these bills, and together we can build an Ohio that we truly all deserve.
You hear him? So we need your help. March 19th, we're going to start there. We're going to vote for these important topics.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of time we're focused on November. We're focused on November. I want to talk to my peers. I sit here. Y'all know me. As one is with y'all. March 19th. What we need to do to get y'all there. How we need to get y'all there. Tuned in. Let us know in the comment. Okay? Let's do this.
Let's get it.
We are important to this process.
Yep.
Okay? Octavius is fighting for you. I want to let you know this is your home.
Thank you, brother.
Wherever programs you may have, you want to push through here, let us know. Let us know how we can be involved.
Absolutely.
We are here to cover and see what's going on in Columbus, Ohio, and Ohio in general. We will go all over the state. We want to know. We want to know where your tax dollars are going. We want to talk to the people that are making these decisions. And as you can see, he is a direct replica of what you see. So I want to make this as clear as you too could be here.
You sure can.
Okay? This is somebody that looks like you, feel like you.
Came from where
he came with the Yeezys on. Okay?
Don't tell me.
But that's just to tell you, we not playing.
Yeah, man.
We for real. March 19th. Get your Yeezys on. It's in the closet.
Come on.
That 360.
that Yeezy, you know what I'm saying? Listen. They comfortable, baby. They comfortable.
So he came with his Yeezy. Shout out to Smith Francois. Like, comment, subscribe, and please, these are important bills. Let's get them through. Let's get them on the ballot, and let's do March 19th. Thank you. It was great, man.
Hey, man, thank you.